Jeanette's life has spanned many great events in world history. There were discoveries in medicine, advancements in science, and tragedies that will never be forgotten. On May 20th, 1927, Charles Lindbergh became the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic in a plane called the Spirit of St. Louis. It took him 33 hours to fly from New York to Paris, France. Jeanette was 4.5 years old. On October 6th of that same year, the first talking movie was released to theaters, changing the future of movie making forever. Its star was Al Jolson. The movie was called The Jazz Singer. Jeanette was 5.
Swanee, how I love you, my dear old Swanee. I'd give the...
On September 15th, 1928, penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming. It was a breakthrough drug that would eventually cure infectious diseases and save countless lives. Alexander Fleming would win the Nobel Prize in Medicine. Jeanette just turned 6. On October 24th, 1929, 1 month after Jeanette's 7th birthday, the largest stock market crash in history sent the country into the Depression. People suffered as 1/4 of the population lost their jobs and many families went hungry, causing breadlines and soup kitchens to become commonplace in cities and towns. The Depression would last for 10 years. May 21st, 1932, 3 months before Jeanette's 10th birthday, Amelia Earhart would become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. She flew from Newfoundland to Ireland in a time of 15 hours. 5 years later, she would attempt to fly around the world, but radio contact with her was lost and her plane was presumed crashed, never to be found. January 30th, 1933, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. He would become the most ruthless killer in the history of world leaders. His hunger for power and territory started World War II, while his hatred of the Jews would lead to the execution of millions of them in his attempt to eliminate an entire race. Jeanette was 11. 11 months later, on December 5th, 1933, Prohibition ended after 13 years. It was a failed experiment that caused more alcoholics than it prevented. It was the reason for Jeanette's father's still, and the moonshine he made was no longer needed. Jeanette was 14 on May 6, 1937, when the Hindenburg dirigible exploded and crashed while landing in Lakehurst, New Jersey. It was the greatest air disaster of its time. 35 of the 97 passengers on board were killed. It is not known to this day whether it was an accident or sabotage.
The plane, wait, get out of the way. Get it started. It's crashing terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please. It's burning and bursting into flames and it's falling on the mooring mast and all the folks between us. This is terrible. Plane is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the passengers screaming around here. I told you.
When we were kids at home, we could never go out with boys. And if they did come on the yard, my dad would say he would get the shotgun out and shoot them.
In 1936, the country was still in the midst of the Depression, while World War II would soon begin in Europe. Entering her teenage years, 13-year-old Jeanette would develop into a lovely young woman over the next 4 years. This is Jeanette's birthplace. She was born in the lower bedroom on the right-hand corner of the front of the house. The house has changed some since then. There was no front porch, and the siding you see in the upper half of the house was not there. When Jeanette was a child, it lacked many of the modern conveniences that we have today. What was the house and farm like?
It was an old house, and after a while they remodeled it, you know, the inside. It was pretty nice.
Was it big?
Not too big enough. It was two-story, a two-story house.
What kind of heat did you have?
Huh?
What kind of heat did you have?
First we had oil heat, you know, for stove. Stove heat at first.
Wood burning, I thought.
Yeah, wood burning then.
Yeah.
Yeah, wood burning. They used to make a lot of wood. No.
Who chopped the wood?
Yeah. Then after a while, we also used to have to go out to the toilet, outdoor toilet. And after a while, they made a bathroom out of one bedroom, had a tub toilet in there. Seemed kind of good not to have to go outside in the cold. We used to sit on the pot, you know, at night when we had to go.
Oh, the bed chamber?
Yeah, a bed pot, you know, pot. We used to go in. Oh.
How'd you get your water?
From the pump outside. Used to bring it in. After a while they hooked up, you know, a pump that supplied water for the cows and in the house when we had our bathtub put in and running water. Otherwise we always had to go outside and get a pail full, you know, for drinking and stuff, you know. Of course, in those days, when I was a kid, we had lamplight, you know, no electricity. Everything you had to do by hand. Take a bath in a wash tub. Oh, God.
How often did you take baths?
Oh, probably once a week or so. I don't know. And used to sleep upstairs. Water froze, you know, in a glass. The water froze, yeah, in a glass. So cold it was up there. Could see your breath. And it was all doubled up in the bed and, you know, trying to keep warm.
What was it like as a child on the farm? What were the chores you had to do?
Oh, it was just like any day living. You had to do what you had to do. You know, when I used to pump water up in a supply tank, we used to stand there and pump and pump and pump. Can you imagine, two of us, until we got that tank full? Now, of course, they hit, after a while, got an electric pump, you know, to pump up there.
Did you ever have milk?
Oh, yes, I had a milk, too. Strip the cows. We all had a milk.
And then with the ducks, too,
Huh?
with the ducks, too.
With the ducks.
You help pluck the ducks?
Oh, yeah, I had to help pluck the ducks, get them ready for market and for a meal.
It was March 21st, 1937, when 14-year-old Jeanette was confirmed in St. Mark's Lutheran Church in Watertown, Wisconsin. This is a picture of Jeanette in her confirmation dress.
My brother Norman.
He was older than you, huh?
Yeah, but he stayed back 1 year, so that's how come I caught up with him. Then we both were confirmed. God, what year is it? I wonder where that my confirmation picture is, Norman.
3 months later, on June 17th, 1937, Jeanette graduated from St. Mark's grade school.
I just went through 8 grades. Because my dad would never let us go to high school. So I just went 3 days to vocational school for a while. School I took, took up typing. Thought maybe someday I'd get a job as a secretary, but that never turned out. I just had to take dirt work.
This is a bicycle license of Jeanette's from the city of Watertown, dated May 24th, 1940. Jeanette was 17.
Yeah, my first vehicle was my bicycle. Had to get a bicycle so I could get around. And then when I did get my bicycle, my dad was going to take that away from me because he said that money should have belonged to him. We always had to give him money for his booze. I still have that bike today in my garage, and that makes me always think about those things I did with it. I always took my bicycle to ride 3 miles to get to school. That was my car. I used to take little Stephen, ride him on the back of my bike, and then we went in the 4th of July parade, and I decorated him up with red, white, and blue stripes made out of that. What is that? Crepe paper. And decorated my bike up, and we went in the 4th of July parade. I still have pictures of them, when I did that. But now they're all grown up.
Around the age of 15, Jeanette would venture into the world of work. It was the start of her earning her own money, which she would continue doing for the next 50 years.
At 15 or 16, my first job was cleaning and taking care of kids. First job I had was at Biography, not far from home. Second job was Lieberman's on Church Street. And Keck's, that was for the Keck's furniture store.
What was your first job?
Taking care of kids, housework, cleaning. I worked for Weiss's, Lieberman's, Vierig's. What other? Keck's, yeah.
What kind of money did you bring home?
Oh, I don't know, not very much.
Were you able to keep it?
Yeah, we kept it. Sometimes we had to give Pa some money, though, for taking us. If we wanted to go somewhere, we always had to pay him. Ain't that sad? Always had to pay, just so he could go in a tavern and drink. Anyway, those.
What did you do at Weiss's? Who'd you take care of there?
Who?
Yeah.
Weiss's?
Yeah.
Oh, I took care of little Stevie Weiss and, let's see, what was the older boy's name? But then his dad was a salesman. And I used to always ride little Steve on my bicycle, take him to the park. And little Stephen Weiss.
Weiss's moved out of town.
Oh, when Weiss's moved out of town, she asked me if I'd come along for a little while, you know. Then I think, didn't I go? Did I ever tell you I went? I went for a week.
Where at?
In Madison, I guess they went. You know, he had a change of jobs or something, you know, and their kids were little yet.
When you stayed there till they found somebody, another babysitter?
Yeah, yeah. And then, I don't know, then he took me back home or something. I don't know that part now. I can't remember much, but I know I went along that while and stayed there a week. Can you imagine me doing that? Of course, I was young then. You'd do almost anything, right?
How old were you?
I must have been 15 or 14, something like that.
When you babysit for, or babysitting and cleaning houses?
Mm-hmm.
What did your parents think about you going down to Madison?
I don't know, they never thought much. I was glad to get away. Then I didn't have to work milk cows and stuff, or pull thistles out of the cornfield.
This is the Keck house, where Jeanette had one of her very first jobs. She scrubbed floors and cleaned. This is the Weiss house, where Jeanette cleaned and babysat for little Stevie Weiss. He was the one who became her partner in that 4th of July parade. Could it be I was named after him?